What if the way you age wasn't just about luck or genetics, but about small, powerful things you're still able to do, often without even realizing their value? After 70, the body speaks louder. Every ache, every breath, every step becomes a message. But there's a quiet set of signs, 6 of them, that whisper something remarkable. You're aging like a legend. These signs aren't flashy. You won't find them in anti-aging ads or quick-fix supplements. They're subtle, often overlooked. Yet they separate those who merely survive from those who truly live after 70. Science is finally catching up with what some elders have known intuitively for decades. Patterns in behavior, movement, cognition, and even voice can reveal how gracefully and powerfully someone is aging. Research from leading universities shows that these everyday abilities are more predictive of long-term vitality than medical tests alone. And here's the truth. Most people miss them. They ignore the warnings. They overlook the opportunities. Until one day, they can't go back. But not you. If you're watching this, you're still in the fight, still curious, still capable of change. In the next few minutes, we're going to reveal what these 6 subtle signs are, and what they mean for your health, your mind, and your independence. Along the way, you'll meet 2 people, same age, same starting point, but very different outcomes. One followed a quiet path to strength and clarity. The other slowly faded without knowing why. If you stay with us, you'll learn what makes the difference and how to make sure you're on the right side of it. Comment number 1 if you're ready. Let's start with something many people overlook. The simple act of standing up from a chair without using your hands. It might seem like a small thing, something we all used to do without thinking. But after 70, this movement becomes a quiet test. Not just of physical strength, but of something deeper: resilience, coordination, and neurological integrity. Scientists at the University of Sydney tracked over 1,700 older adults for a decade. They found that those who struggled to stand up without using their arms had a significantly higher risk of cognitive decline and early mortality. It turns out that lower body strength, particularly in the quadriceps and hips, is a reliable predictor of overall aging quality. It reflects not just muscle mass, but how well the brain communicates with the body. Walter, at 78, still gets up from his chair with ease. Every morning he rises slowly, deliberately, without pushing off the armrests. His balance is firm. His knees don't buckle. He's made leg strength a quiet part of his routine. Through walks, light resistance bands, even standing while doing small tasks. What looks effortless today is the result of a conscious choice years ago to keep moving no matter what. Frank, on the other hand, leans heavily on his arms. He grunts a little, shifts forward, then pushes himself up. It's not just harder, it's unstable. He's had 2 small falls in the last year, nothing serious, yet. But inside, he feels it, the fear of falling, the doubt creeping in, the shrinking confidence in his own body. The connection between legs and longevity might sound strange, but it's deeply biological. Strong legs help pump blood more efficiently. They stabilize the spine. They reduce the load on joints and protect against fractures. And most importantly, they preserve independence. Here's a simple test you can try. Sit in a chair, cross your arms, and stand up. Then sit back down. Do it 5 times without using your hands. If it feels easy, you're on the right track. If it's a struggle, it's not too late to rebuild. That's strength. Because every time you rise from a chair, you're not just lifting your body. You're lifting your chances of staying sharp, mobile, and free. Now, moving to the second factor that silently affects longevity. It's something so ordinary, so woven into daily life, that many don't even notice when it begins to disappear. Conversation, not small talk, not routine pleasantries, but meaningful, stimulating dialogue, exchanges that require memory, attention, emotion, and empathy. These moments of real connection are powerful protectors of the aging brain. Research from the University of Michigan found that just 10 minutes of social interaction per day can significantly boost memory and cognitive performance in older adults. Conversations activate the prefrontal cortex, the same region responsible for decision-making, short-term memory, and emotional regulation. When this area is stimulated regularly, it stays healthier, longer. Walter understands this, though he'd never call it science. For him, it's instinct. Every week, he meets with a small group at the library to discuss books, world events, and even old jazz records. He calls his grandchildren, not just to say hello, but to ask about their lives, really listen, really engage. His mind stays agile because it's always in motion, always reaching out. Frank used to be more social, but over time the calls slowed. Friends moved, passed away, or simply stopped reaching out. Now, most of his days pass in silence, save for the sound of the television. He rarely picks up the phone. When family calls, the conversations are short, often dominated by awkward pauses. He tells himself he's fine alone, but his memory has started to slip. Not dramatically, but enough that he notices, enough to scare him. The loss of social connection isn't just sad, it's dangerous. Loneliness has been shown to increase the risk of dementia by up to 40%, according to studies from the National Institute on Aging. It's a silent threat, creeping in through isolation, shrinking the mind before the body even begins to fail. The good news? It's reversible. Start small. Call a friend. Join a local group, even online. Share a story. Ask a question. Let your mind stretch in the company of others. Because every conversation is a workout for the brain and a lifeline to the person you still are. Here's the third behavior that slowly undermines your health. It begins with a slight slowdown, a shorter stride, a moment's hesitation before stepping off a curb. Many dismiss it as normal aging, but science tells us it's far more significant. Walking speed isn't just a matter of pace, it's a mirror of the body's internal systems. The nervous system, cardiovascular health, muscle function, even brain performance, all reflected in how quickly and confidently someone moves through space. A landmark study published in JAMA tracked over 34,000 adults over 65 and found a startling pattern. Slower walkers had a consistently higher risk of death, regardless of other health factors. In fact, every decrease in gait speed was associated with increased risk of hospitalization, disability, and cognitive decline. Walter doesn't walk fast, but he walks with purpose. Every morning, just after breakfast, he slips on his shoes and heads out. He walks the same route through his neighborhood, rain or shine. His pace is steady, his arms swing naturally, his posture upright. He doesn't rush, but he doesn't shuffle either. His body remembers the rhythm of motion, and that rhythm sustains his independence. Frank walks less these days. Just going to the mailbox leaves him winded. He moves cautiously, unsure of his balance, favoring one hip from an old injury. Each step feels heavier, slower. He tells himself it's just part of getting old, but inside he knows something is slipping. He no longer trusts his legs or his future. Gait speed is now used as a clinical indicator in many geriatric assessments. Why? Because it reveals so much. A good walking pace suggests strong heart health, clear neural pathways, and a body in sync. A slow, hesitant walk often signals frailty, inflammation, or even early signs of neurodegenerative disease. But just like muscle, speed can be trained, not through running or strain, but through intentional walking. 5 minutes around the BO block, a trip to the park, gradually increasing pace and distance over time. The goal isn't to walk fast, it's to walk freely. Because the way you walk today could be telling the story of where you'll be 5 years from now. Up next, the fui. Fourth sign that many people dismiss. Try standing on one foot for 10 seconds. It sounds simple, almost childish. But this single act contains a hidden truth about your brain, your nerves, and the silent changes happening inside your body. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed more than 1,700 adults aged 51 to 75 for 7 years. The findings were sobering. Those unable to balance on one leg for 10 seconds had a significantly higher risk of death, independent of age, weight, or other health conditions. The ability, or inability, to maintain balance is now seen as a powerful marker of neurological health. Walter tries this every morning, just after brushing his teeth. It's become part of his routine. 10 seconds on each foot, eyes open, arms relaxed. He wobbles some days, but he holds it. It's not about perfection. It's about connection. Brain to body, nerve to muscle. Each second is a quiet reminder that he's still in control. Frank avoids it. He doesn't like feeling unsteady. He leans on furniture more often now, gets dizzy when getting out of bed too fast. Once, while reaching for a cabinet, he stumbled sideways and had to catch himself. He laughs it off, but deep down, he knows what it means. And he's afraid of what might come next. Balance is more than coordination. It's a complex dance between the inner ear, the eyes, the muscles, and the brainstem. When any part of that system weakens, the whole structure becomes unstable. Falls become more likely, and with each fall, independence slips further away. But like any skill, balance can be trained. Tai Chi, yoga, or even standing on one foot while brushing your teeth can reawaken dormant neural pathways. Strengthening the ankles, hips, and core helps too. And so does practicing awareness. Being present in your body instead of rushing through the day. Because when you stand on one foot, you're not just testing balance. You're testing your connection to life itself. As we move forward, there's a fifth pattern that deserves attention. How do you start your day? It might seem like a personal detail, too small to matter. But morning routines quietly shape the trajectory of your health, mood, and resilience, especially after 70. Studies from Harvard and the University of Exeter show that consistent, purposeful morning habits are linked to better sleep, lower stress levels, and stronger cognitive function in older adults. The first hour of your day sends signals to your brain and body. It sets the rhythm of your hormones, it determines your momentum, and most importantly, it reflects your intentionality, a trait tightly linked to longevity. Walter wakes up at 6:45 every morning. He drinks a glass of water, does 5 minutes of stretches, then takes a short walk around the block. He eats a simple breakfast, always seated at the table, no screens. He reads the newspaper, marks down a few tasks in his journal. Nothing elaborate, but it's consistent, grounding, and driven by choice, not habit. Frank wakes up whenever the light hits his face. Sometimes 8, sometimes 10. He reaches for the remote, before his feet touch the floor. Breakfast is often skipped or eaten distractedly in front of the TV. There's no routine, just a slow drift into the day. Time slips by, unnoticed. And so does energy, focus, and motivation. The difference may seem subtle, but its impact is profound. A chaotic or passive start can disrupt cortisol rhythms, lead to blood sugar crashes, and amplify feelings of fatigue or depression. Over time, these small disruptions compound. They affect appetite, memory, and even immune function. But the body loves rhythm, and the mind thrives on structure. Establishing a consistent wake-up time, a few simple actions, and a reason to move, however small, can transform how the rest of the day unfolds. Because the way you rise each morning is a quiet declaration of whether you're still living by choice or by inertia. Finally, there's one last habit that might surprise you. Your ability to keep learning. New skills, new facts, new ways of thinking, even after 70. For years, it was believed that the aging brain was like concrete, fixed, unchangeable. But neuroscience has shattered that myth. Today, we know the brain remains plastic well into old age. It can rewire, regenerate, and adapt, if we give it a reason to. A study from the University of California showed that older adults who engaged in learning-intensive activities, like digital photography, a new language, or musical instruments, showed significant improvement in memory, attention, and processing speed after just 3 months. The key wasn't just activity, it was mental challenge. Walter picked up the guitar at age 72. Slowly, awkwardly, with sore fingers and missed chords. He practices 15 minutes a day, sometimes more. He says it keeps him humble and alive. He also joined an online history course, not for credit, just for the joy of learning. His curiosity never retired. Frank, he hasn't tried anything new in years. The idea of learning something unfamiliar makes him anxious. He believes it's too late, that his brain doesn't work like it used to. So his days repeat. Same shows, same routines, same thoughts. And slowly, the light dims behind his eyes. But it's not too late. Learning doesn't mean enrolling in college. It can be as simple as trying a new recipe, memorizing a poem, or using an app you've never touched before. Each small stretch creates new neural connections, and every connection is a step away from decline and a step toward vitality. The choice isn't about age, it's about mindset. Curiosity is the antidote to decay, and those who keep learning keep growing. Those who keep growing keep living. So, what truly separates those who fade from those who flourish after 70? It's not wealth, not perfect genes, not luck. It's presence, purpose, and the quiet strength to keep choosing life, even when it gets harder to do so. Walter and Frank showed us what that difference looks like. One chose movement, connection, rhythm, and growth. The other, without realizing it, drifted into stillness, silence, and surrender. Neither path happened overnight, but step by step, year by year, the gap widened. The 6 signs we uncovered aren't just habits. They are reflections of deeper values. Strength in the legs reveals commitment to independence. Conversation keeps the brain alive because it reflects a hunger to connect. Walking pace, balance, morning routines, the will to learn, each one is a thread. Together they weave the fabric of a life still fully lived. You don't have to change everything overnight. In fact, you shouldn't. What matters is one small choice today, a 10-second balance test, a phone call, a walk to the end of the street, a curious question. Because longevity isn't just about living longer, it's about living well, with clarity, with dignity, with joy. The path forward is yours to walk, one intentional step at a time. If this message resonated with you, comment below. Let us know where you are in your journey. Like this video if it opened your eyes. Subscribe for more stories that empower your next chapter. And hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment that could change your life.